Hola, mi amores. How are you doing today? This Saturday is beautiful out. I hope you all are enjoying it. I am taping today's show because I am going to be out and about at an event later today. So I hope that you are doing well and I hope you enjoy this session of court affairs. Yes, this was the old legal affairs, and now the name has changed to court affairs. I felt a need to do so. So thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hi, IAAH Radio Plus. Thanks for having me out there and tuning in. For me, Judge Desire for Knowledge. Every Saturday, last Saturday of the month, you will get court affairs. All right. Next week, we'll return to Know Your Truth Real Talk. So let's talk about it, guys. This week's court affairs is on when the ring comes off. You know what that is, right? The battle of who gets the money, house, and the future. Now, that's really important for some people, and most people, I should say. Some people don't have to worry about that, but the percentage there is pretty small. So if you're one of those people that is worried about getting married or don't intend to, well, that's up to you. But, if you do in the future change your mind or you are married, this segment of court affairs is for you. All right. So everyone looks forward to, the love. They're loving. The wedding day is their special day of the day. I mean, who doesn't want and love their wedding day? They look forward to it. They anticipate it. It's like years, sometimes months away. And the closer it comes to, the more anxious you get, right? So who doesn't love the wedding day? But the flowers, the dress, the promises, the pictures. Everyone loves that. It's beautiful. But no one is standing at the altar saying these things. If this goes wrong, who's going to fight over the house, retirement accounts, business interests, debts, and who pays who every month? They're not thinking that. Oh, they're not thinking we're going to fight later. No one wants to think like that. Marriage is emotional and divorce is emotional and financial. So it's very important, ladies and gentlemen, folks, that you think of these things on a mature level, because we need maturity here when you go into marriage. It's not something bad. No, it's not. It just takes a lot of maturity for some people, more than others. And if you're smart, you're going to plan yours out. I mean, love comes and it's beautiful and exciting, but you got to think outside the box as well to protect yourselves, whether you could be in love today and not tomorrow. I've seen that a lot. That's why people wait until they really make that big decision, because alimony and assets when a marriage ends, that's no joke. And what is alimony? That's considered spousal support for the person that is leaving or that has left, or it doesn't work out for either one of you. You have differences, irreconcilable differences, which means that both sides probably agree or maybe not. Excuse my speech right now. I'm talking too fast, so I'm going to slow down. The alimony spousal support is for those that decide to end their marriage, and it's sometimes it's something done quickly, and one of the partners wants to be supported because they're used to a specific lifestyle, what they've had before the marriage sometimes, or what they had when they got into the marriage, depending on what the case may be. And a spouse may be ordered by the court to pay the other after a separation or divorce. So it's usually based on things like the length of the marriage, income differences, ability to earn, lifestyle during marriage, contributions made during the marriage, and things like that. So I'm going to explain all of these things as we go through, but I'm going to make it a little humorous for you because I don't want it to be such a serious, segment. I want it to be, think about it this way as well, but be smart. Don't work hard at it, be smart at it, okay? The reality check here with alimony is it's not automatically the wife gets the money. So please, guys, know or the husband gets punished. No, ladies, they're not going to get punished. Courts generally look at financial circumstances. So that's what it is to the courts. To you, it may be, the wife gets the money and the husband gets punished. And it might be possible that that will happen. But that's not what the courts generally look at. They look at the financial circumstances before they make the decision on whom gets it when it's requested. And if there was one person that requested, they're going to see if they actually need it. All right, so let's move on to the paycheck after the promise, because this is what happens. You make that promise in the courtroom, at the church, on anywhere that you get married at. I don't know. You figure it out where you're going to get married at, whether it's in the church or in the courthouse or city hall. The paycheck after the promise. Okay, so remember that the promise was made during the marriage, right? For example, the higher earner marriage, right? This is one spouse who earns about 25, let's just say $250,000 a year. 250 if you all don't get that one. I know you do, but I'll make it easier. It's not being funny. The other stayed home for 15 years raising the children. This is a scenario and managing the household. The divorce happens. Then the argument of who paid the bills happens, right or wrong. A lot of people start arguing about, well, I paid the bills, I do this and I do that. The response may be, yes, they paid the bill, but I created the life where you could focus on earning, is what the other person would say, that was home, taking care of the children, taking care of the household, rearing the children, taking care of you and, the partner that actually was out earning the money. So that can be the focus on earning, was because they allowed it to happen so that they would hold back on their own lifestyle. Sometimes that's the scenario. But here's the lesson. Marriage is often viewed as an economical partnership. So be careful when you who you partner up with, because some people don't want to work and they're happy to stay home and they'll still get your money. And some other people, like most people, they'll bring in their share, you bring in your share, and 50-50 equals 100%, which is fair to me, and I love it that way. The other people don't. There's a lot of people that they like to be home and take care of the child, but if there's no child and they like to be home, then that's another show. I'll bring that in next time. But no offense to those that don't want to work, but then at the end of your marriage or partnership, marital assets goes to, even though sometimes the person that hasn't put in. So really be careful as we go through all of these scenarios I'm going to give you, that is really life, real real life, I should say. And I just want to make it where it's not so complicated like some shows where they're rigid, and lawyers can be boring and rigid. So I'm not an attorney. Let me just say that now. This is not advice. This is just for you to follow on your decision on what you need to do. And if it applies to you, look it up and you can go from there. But what I'm trying to say is sometimes lawyers can be very boring, rigid, and no one wants to go through the show of having them explain too much, because they're not going to bring fun of it. And then you got the ones that are pretty good. I don't know. I don't watch them. I see them in the courtroom every day. So basically, I don't have to watch their shows on YouTube. We all learn the same things, do the same things. So basically, let's get back to marriage is often viewed as an economic partnership. So remember that when you do get married. So be careful with who you partner up with. Sometimes people don't see that. Sometimes people, you don't want to put someone less than yourself. Of course, that's not fair. But you got to make sure it matches up in some other way, because the sad part of everything is, in the end, I've noticed, and even in the matrimonial court, where I worked briefly one time, because I transfer around, they are actually fighting for things that you would not believe. I mean, the anger and the hurt and pain of their dissolving of a of their marriage, marital affairs, whatever. It's horrible. Let's just say that it's not fun. So even when you think you love someone that much that that wouldn't happen to you, be smart and say, what if it did? Even if it doesn't, you're going to want to think about that anyway, right? Because as the world turns, nothing lasts forever. But anyway, careful who you partner up with is very important to do so. And I see this is going to come to the part where a lot of people want a rich man, and I'm coming to that also, or a rich woman. Yeah, there's problems there too, so don't worry. I'm going to get to that in a second. Please like, share, and subscribe. All right. So in assets, who owns what? Things couple fight over. I'm going to just name it. They fight over the house. They fight over the cars, retirement accounts, businesses, investments, property, personal items. And I've seen those personal items, and sometimes it's like, are you serious? I mean, even down to the dog and cat and birds and stuff like that. But it's real, you know? The big question is, was it yours before marriage, or did it become marital property? Which is going to be a big question for you in the long run, because good decisions are made when a marriage does this. They pick up at the ends. They do gather financial records. When a marriage ends, you should actually, before it starts, you should check that person out thoroughly. And I don't mean behind their back, just tell them that this is how you see your marriage future person. And before you even marry them, find out, is what I'm going to say. Not after you pop the question, because that's a big turnoff. All right, guys. All right, girls. All right, folks. Okay, don't do that. But good decisions when a marriage ends is to gather financial records, bank statements, I meant to say, tax returns, retired accounts, property documents, and separate emotions from the paperwork, because your anger does not change the numbers. So protect yourself legally, get advice before signing agreements, get a good attorney, and communicate carefully with that attorney once this ends, your marriage ends, and you're about to go through the process. When I say get an attorney, I don't mean go get a surrogate attorney or attorney for criminal. Go specifically for the actual case, matrimonial, family attorney. Those are the people that will actually be able to assist you. That's their specialty. When you just go reach out to any attorney, a tax attorney or whatever, they're not going to specialize in this. You may lose. So you need to get someone special if that specialize in that field, unless you have amicable agreement, and you don't want to go through the courts, which would be beautiful. And sometimes you get that very few. I'm not going to name a percentage because I'm not sure, but in my mind, I think that's about a 1%. The rest, they go ballistic. Okay. And it's not funny, but I just got to laugh at the way people go really crazy afterwards. And I'm going to tell you why later. Text messages and emails can become evidence. So be careful of things that were done. Save it. Those things that are happening after the marriage, any cruelty, domestic violence that was done mentally, would be on emails and messages, text messages and stuff like that. Physically, it'll be seen. So that's different. Take pictures of that. If I hope that's not your case or your future case, but things like this happen. People get angry. Maybe they didn't hit you during the whole time, and bop, ta-da! All of a sudden, out of the blue, now you're being beaten. Because they're angry and they know they got a lot to lose, either partner, and it's a lot to work through for some people. And some people can't handle that, they really can't. So it's very important that you do what's needed to get the evidence that you need once this marriage is resolved. Well, not dissolved yet, because the court will have to dissolve it, but otherwise that you're preparing for that. Bad decision when a marriage ends. Please don't do this when bad decisions These are bad decisions when a marriage ends, and I see a lot of people do this and think it's okay. They hide money. Don't do that. Things like, I moved money so they can't find it. That could come back badly for you, so be careful with that. Destroy property. That's not good either. I'm gonna smash everything because I paid for it. You get people that do that. I've seen it. I've seen experience of people that have went through that. That can create legal problems, so don't do that either. Another thing not to do is empty accounts out of revenge. Courts do not like financial games, so you're not going to win in that court if you do that. So hiding and emptying accounts for revenge is going to cost you at the end as well. Do not post your divorce online, please. Nobody needs to know. I know I see a lot of people put just recently divorced or divorced. It doesn't matter what you are, people. If you start talking about it after putting it up, social media can become evidence as well. So be careful. For instance, celebrities. We're going to use some celebrity examples here. When famous people divorce, the public sees the lifestyle, the homes, the businesses, the brands they represent, luxury items all over the place, their big houses. But behind the scene, divorce involves asset division, child-related financial issues, business interests, and private agreements. So the lesson in that is, the bigger the lifestyle, the more complicated the financial breakup can become. All right. Celebrity relationships show how public image and private finances can collide. And that's serious. For instance, I'm going to give a briefing on this. Look at the Daddy Yankee. Do you know about him? Ramon Ayala Rodriguez. Look what happened to him and his wife. Their marital divorce, first it was separation. They tried to get back. Long story short, it turned into a major legal battle with his wife, who he sued for financial mismanagement of his companies. Her allegedly withdrawing $100 million from his account. Her and her sister allegedly withdrawing $100 million from his account, and he found this out during the separation. So be very careful. The case is in appellate court right now. I just heard recently, I'm not sure how evident this is or how real, if this actually happened, that he lost the case, the battle for now. So I don't know what his next step is going to be, but that's just a scenario. It's not even a scenario. That's just a piece of an example, I should say, that I'm going to give you about celebrity marriages doing the same thing as regular people. They're human, right? Except this is millions of money. This guy has been working his whole life. All right. And you want to see the story, I guess you could Google it and find out if she worked or not. I didn't go deep in there, but I remember seeing the story and read some of it. It was horrible, about how this battle is so huge after like 20 something years of marriage. I think 29 years. And by then you think you're secure with someone, and sometimes you're not. So the lesson here is, a relationship may look powerful from the outside, but financial planning and legal protections matter before problems happen. So let's say you're not a reggaeton or artist or something like that, but you still carry home the money, or you both do. You're gonna want to protect yourselves anyway, okay? Because it's only fair that, not just what you came into, but both of you, not one, both get to live the lifestyle they created during the marriage or before the marriage, whoever it is, or both. I believe in both creating the lifestyle they have together, that they should both enjoy it together, and someone doesn't just take the carpet under their foot like that, because I'm not that type of person. And I know that people are going to say, ah, la, 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 in the comment box. That's you. That's who you're going to have to live with that if that's the type of person you are. I'm not talking about you right now. I'm talking about me. This part is why things get difficult. Revenge sets in, hate, malice, and all kinds of things. We can avoid that, ladies and gentlemen. We really can. But some people don't like that. They love this stuff. I guess they love drama. I'm not sure. But they sure bring it to the courthouse. I'm gonna admit the drama surely comes there, I'm gonna say. And they keep going. But you know what? That's their life. Anyway, always legally protect yourself before problems happen. So, 2 questions. What do you think? Because I'm not live today, I'm not able to really get a feedback, but later in your own minds, or later if you want to leave it in the comments, is alimony fairness, or is it a reward for leaving? Okay. Should cheating affect financial settlements? Well, for the first one, alimony fairness. So since I bring my own money, alimony, I wouldn't ask for, but I know a lot of people that would, because I'm actually making my own money. So I think, in my own opinion, if 2 people are both working and you're bringing it in together, and no matter what came between each other, whatever happened during that time, if we go our own way and I don't ask you for any alimony and we split it evenly, everything, there's not a problem for me. But should cheating affect financial settlements? Yeah, I think that the person that cheats, they should go look for it where they've received it before, or whatever they may do. But and they should have thought of it before they actually cheated. I don't think that that person should go after any monies of their partner. But then I don't know what the cheating was about, even though I don't believe that people should do such things. That's not up to me. That would be a perfect world, wouldn't it? But the fact that someone cheats, we don't know what they've went through, if they were abused, if the cheater was cheated by a cheater. So it depends on the, scenario here of what happened that would affect the financial settlements for me. So that's kind of on the fence for me right now. But let's get humorous about it. Divorce court confessions. Let's talk about this stuff I hear, I write down. My spouse said they wanted their independence. I've heard that a lot, right? Until they saw the mortgage payment, It's like, what is it? It's cheaper to keep her. And I'm not just saying her. This can be for males too. It's cheaper to keep her, right? He said you can have the house. Then the bills arrived. That's another whammy. She goes, I don't want your money. And don't look at the sex that I use. It's just that these are the ones that come into the court all the time with the same scenario. So I use the female, male, whichever ones to come in with the most humor to me on these particular questions. So she comes in and says, I don't want your money. But hours later, so what are we going to do about the retirement account? Those are things that we don't listen to. We don't hear that either way. You think you're getting out of certain things and you're not. The biggest divorce mistakes, I believe, and we've all seen, is the divorce revenge. People think I'm going to make them suffer, right? But in reality, the more you fight, the more money can disappear into attorney fees, court fees, delays, stress. So who's losing here, right? Who's losing here? You are. Because you're fighting more instead of resolving the situation and coming to a resolution. So sometimes people will spend, I'm going to tell you, $50,000 fighting over a $20,000 worth of property or assets, or less. I've seen less, but they're spending more because, you know what? The average lawyer, and this is the standard lawyers, they minimum is $300 an hour, if that anymore, $350. But I've seen the elite, and whoa, and they come in looking really good in their suits too, and you can tell that they're expensive designer suits. These people are getting paid by you. You're going to give them the money to look the way they do, is what I'm coming down to. So and even if you have the money, You're going to fight for your life, so I know you're going to get the best lawyers. But when you see these lawyers and how they work, you got to be really careful because you're paying all this money. And like I said, sometimes people spend 50,000 for something was never worth that and the assets. And now you lost all your money. Now there's another one called a social media trap. Okay. For example, a spouse claims I can't afford support. And I've seen this as well. And it's come out as evidence later. After he or she says, I can't afford support. That's what a spouse comes and says. Then they post on social media a new car, expensive vacation, luxury purchases, party lifestyle. Courtroom question is going to be, where did the money come from? Yeah, because when you come back to court, because someone's obviously going to see that and they're going to tell, yeah. Your phone can become a witness. So be very careful of what you post, okay, people? Especially if you play smart. All right, now we're going to talk about the stay-at-home spouse debate. Okay, the question here is, if one person stayed home for 20 years raising children, should they leave with nothing? Okay, side A, I'm going to just tell you what one person would say. They didn't bring home a paycheck, but the other side would say they provided unpaid labor that allowed the household to function, like we said earlier. So the one that stays home is allowing that person to actually go out, not actually, but that's what their claim is going to be in court, is that if it wasn't for them taking care of the kids, rearing the kids, taking care of the home, getting dinner done, doing the food shopping, whatever, which is true, they wouldn't have had the opportunity to even work and make that type of money that they make. And sometimes that's true. But you got to figure it out, because the courts is going to figure it out for you if you don't. And the secret money game, that's the game that's played all the time in the courtrooms. And the examples here are hidden bank accounts, undisclosed investments, all of a sudden you're hiding everything, transferring property to family, and you think you're going to get away with it. Let me tell you. Suddenly claiming a business is worth less. And I've seen that as well. But the thing here, folks, is that can be found out. They have investigators. That's what lawyers do. They investigate, and they get paid very well to do so. If the court needs to know, they'll find out. You can't hide everything. So, folks, divorce is not the time to play financial hide and seek. So stop the games. We're grown-up adults, because it's just going to hit you worse, all right? Another scenario, when people get divorced and they're moving on, during the time of the divorce or right after, the new partner problem. And the example of that would be a person pays support, then starts a new relationship. I know most people, I've seen this in court too. They know about this. The ex says you're spending money on your new life while supporting the old one. So they get upset, because you could do both sometimes. There's jealousy, there's envy, there's hate, rejection, and it all boils up into one. But the question is, where does the responsibility end and a new beginning start? I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter if they have to oblige with their responsibility before. And if it's not finished in the old relationship or the old marriage, I should say, then you still have to continue paying there and make your household work as well. Even if you didn't remarry, you still have to do both. And sometimes, depending on the situation, because not all the time, yes, that is the truth. The family business divorce. Now, this is when a family has a business together. They own a restaurant, a husband and wife own a restaurant or a business together. They split. Now what? Well, choices to do would be to sell it. One buys the other out, or continue as partners, which is very difficult if you're not friends anymore. It's funny how you go from friendship, love to enemies sometimes. And that's the sad part because that's what leads to divorce, right? Some couples can't share in a marriage, but now they have to share a company. That's sad. So it's up to you, folks. You got to think of, would this be the person you want to go in business with or do your business on your own? Either way, as a marital asset, they can continue to come in and request it. And it's up to the state you live in first, not just the court. Let me just revise you. The state you live in, look up the laws on marriage and assets in that state, what's allowed and what's not allowed before you marry in that state. I'm not saying run to the state where you can get what you want out of it, but if it's not working for you, then you don't marry, I guess. Love is love. So you should marry any way you want, not having to look these stuff up. But you got to protect yourself, which comes to the next subject, the prenup talk. Let's talk about that. Romance killer or a smart move? What do you think? Is that a romance killer or a smart move? The debate. Some say a prenup means you don't believe in the marriage, and I've heard that before. And others say a prenup means you respect each other enough to plan. So you plan ahead because neither one of you plan to take from each other. Then you have the people that you've been together so long you already know, so you don't need to even discuss this, you know? Please do not ask somebody after you give the ring for a prenup. You should be asking people ahead of time that you think that you may marry what they think about a prenup, so that you have an idea if this is the person you're really going to marry. Some people will lie though, so be very careful of that. But a prenup means you respect each other enough to plan, is what some people say. And the questions here is, should everyone have one? Only wealthy people should have one? Does it protect both sides? So those are questions you want to ask yourselves, especially if you're wealthy or not. Actually, for me, it would be either or. Should everyone have one? Is up to you. I'm not giving you advice here, so you would have to, like I just told you, I would definitely question before going through any marriage or being asked to be married with your partner that you may think is a potential future husband or wife. I would ask ahead of time before you put that ring on, and then you'll find out for yourselves. Does it protect both sides? Yeah, it really does. That's especially if you brought something in and someone else didn't do anything. All right, divorce and the children watching. That is scary because children are always watching. And the financial fight that can overshadow kids, and it does in the courtroom. And this is why we don't have kids in the court when it comes to this part. What you don't do is tell your children, your mother took my money. Okay. Now, when they become adults, you want to be downright, tell the truth, then do that. But as a child, no. What is better is to say this is an adult issue when they're young. Both parents love you. You can discuss this when your children become adult children. But doing that before they become adult, they're going to be confused. So what's wrong is to say that your mother or father took your money. Usually it's the mother took the money, but I'm going to say father too. What is better is that this is an adult situation and it doesn't concern you, and we all love you. We both love you. It has nothing to do with you. The marriage may end, but parenting doesn't. So that's really important if you're going through divorce with children, because it's not a joke. When children don't deserve that. I mean, you can't live with someone you're not in love with or you're not mutually compatible with anymore, but you should have known this ahead before having children. But it does happen, and staying there hurts the children more, because then they'll see you fight, argue, dispute, and all this nasty stuff that goes on in the household. And they'll hear it and know it, and you don't want them and generations after to continue the same cycle. So basically getting out is your best reprieve. You try to make it work, and if it doesn't, you know what, it doesn't. It happens a lot. But to have the children suffer seeing you try to be together just for them, no. I believe that's a big no-no. for people. And I know a lot of people would like that so that they could keep the partner there. That's not how it works, ladies and gentlemen. No, it doesn't. But that's another show. And I'm thinking about doing that next. Not really next, but in the future. Sometimes the house that breaks the marriage, yeah, that's harsh. A house is emotional, and people will say, I built memories there. Yeah, and that's true. But legally, a house is also equity, debt, property value, and a financial obligation, which has to be taken care of once the divorce is resolved. And who and whom is going to do that part is what's really important. So the question here is, are you fighting for the house or fighting to win? That will be up to you. So right now, I'm going to go through some myths. I want to make sure I said it right. MYTHS, divorce myths that people believe, but it's a myth. And people think they know versus the law. Okay, what people think they know versus the law. So I'm going to start with myth number 1. And as I go, I'll let you know number 2, number 3. Divorce means everyone gets split 50-50. Everything gets split 50-50. And reality is not really, not always. Property division depends on where you live, the state you live in, like I said, whether property is marital or separate, contributions during that marriage, debt, and financial circumstances, like I said earlier. Divorce is not a yard sale, people, where everyone gets half the furniture. That's not how it works. And myth number 2, the woman always gets alimony, and that's not true either. In reality, alimony is generally based on financial circumstances, not gender. Just like I said earlier, it depends. The court is not going to look at the gender, but usually the woman comes into the court and files that application for that, and that's why it is considered that everyone thinks the woman always gets alimony. No, they file more than anyone else. Questions includes in this non-gender basis. Questions will be, because it's a financial circumstance, so questions will be who earned more, who sacrificed career opportunities, how long was the marriage, and can both people support themselves? That's where it matters. If 2 people have equal incomes, should either one pay support? I think if you have equal incomes, walk away, let this resolve and get out of here. But some people don't think that way. They love the drama. They want you to pay back. They like revenge. Sometimes people have cheated, didn't stay in the marriage even long enough to make a year and walk out and still be able to collect alimony. Like they'll stay, if you allow a spouse to stay married to you even though you haven't seen them or been separated and nothing happened officially, they collect. They're smart. They know what they're doing. They're a gold digger. They know that this is the way that they can get you. So be very careful, because these things sometimes are plotted. When you get a divorce or separation and it's over, it's over. Get it done right away, as soon as possible. Okay, ladies and gentlemen? Myth number 3, the person who cheated gets nothing. That's not true. Reality is people often believe cheating automatically means losing assets, but financial decisions may depend on the laws, where the divorce happens, and the specific facts. So people got to start thinking that that's really the key here. Bad behavior and financial consequences are not always the same thing. So even though a person will be out there in the streets, living for the streets, doesn't mean that they won't be able to get that alimony. And depending on your state, look that up as well. Myth number 4, if my name is not on it, I get nothing. And some people have said that if their name isn't on it, they're not going to get anything. For example, a spouse will say, the house is only in my name, but the other spouse contributed to it, like money, improvements, household support, child care. Legal ownership can become complicated here. So what it's going to have to be up to what amount was done, what was contributed by whom, no matter what. whose name is on anything. You got married. It's going to really depend on a few factors here. So you need to check with your attorneys on that and see what the factor is. Myth number 5, staying home is not contribution. That's a myth. The stay-at-home spouse may have contributed through raising children, managing the household, supporting the other person's career, the spouse's career. So that's a myth. And the question is, what has value? Only the paycheck because you come home with the check, or the work that made the paycheck possible? So both are important. So this is why that's a myth. Okay. Myth number 6, I can hide the money because I don't know. They don't know about it, which we said earlier. In reality, financial discovery can uncover accounts, transfers, business records, assets. Okay. Um, there is a scope called discovery, whereas the lawyers will go, like I said, their investigation will find it. So be careful about I can hide my money, all right? Offshore accounts, I'm not speaking on that, and I wouldn't advise you to, but I don't know for sure if they can find it, but they probably can. Your secret account may not be secret when lawyers start asking questions. Because once they question, they have a technique that's done, which they learn in law school as well. I won't disclose that here, but I know the technique because I've done some schooling too, and you're trained on that. And by the time they're done with you, real good attorneys, you will be definitely shown up. You would have definitely given your information without knowing you've given it. So okay, myth number 7. The kids are part of the property fight. Yeah. Okay. In reality, children are not bargaining chips. Okay. Divorce divides assets only, responsibilities, and parenting arrangements, not the child's value. All right. So basically, that is a myth. Myth number 8, I can stop paying because I'm angry. And we've seen this in a lot of instances in the courthouse as usual. For example, my ex made me mad, so I'm not paying. Problem here is court orders usually have consequences if ignored. And for that, I'm not just talking about child support and matrimony agreements as well, things that were made in writing after the divorce that has to be done. I forgot the name of it right now, but it doesn't matter because it's written up already for you. So if you go against the court order, everything that is done is a court order. It has consequences such as they can take away your license, privilege to drive, put liens and garnishes on a lot of things. So be very careful. Don't think that, oh, well, they have no right. Well, you know what? Once it gets into that courthouse, courtroom, whichever state you live in, they got the right, right? Once someone brought it there. So be careful. Your feelings do not cancel your legal obligations. All right, you can't run to another state either because I've seen that being done, but that's another show. Myth number 9, a new spouse erases the old financial responsibilities. And by example, someone remarries and says, my new family comes first. All right, we was just talking about this, but the law may still recognize previous obligations. So this is a myth. You cannot just do that. If the law sees previous obligations that weren't paid up yet, depending on your situation, then that's it. You still have an obligation to the first family, all right? The first marriage, even if they don't have kids. So anyway, myth number 10, divorce only hurts the person who loses reality. Sometimes everyone loses though. This is a myth, hurts the person who loses reality. It hurts everyone. Money, time, relationships, peace. So that person that lost reality just not only flipped out, but you're going to pay for their flipping out, actually. So the myth of divorce only hurts the person who loses reality. And sometimes everyone loses. It's everyone does. It's not sometimes. Everyone loses in divorce because it's not only money, time, relationship, and peace, but it's sometimes the money, like we said earlier, is more, you paying out more than what it was worth in the first place. The assets, if there's any, sometimes there's none, and you're going to pay even more for nothing, just to dissolve it. And it sucks, but it is what it is, because you didn't come together amicably, to be able to resolve the situation. So this is what happens. The question becomes, how do you protect yourself while still making wise decisions? So I'm going to go into a little humor before I finish up, divorce court translator humor and what they say in court. I just want what's fair. And what it may mean is I have a number in my head. And I don't care about the money. What happens few hours later, they're fighting for the big screen TV. That's the truth. I've seen it. What they say when they're I'm leaving with nothing, right? But in reality, now this was really cute. In reality, they may not have understood what they legally contributed. Sometimes you're leaving with nothing because you brought nothing in there. And sometimes not. But anyway, that was pretty funny, right? So in closing, the funny part is not getting to this situation or these scenarios I just put up here, because they're not really scenarios. These are real time. This is what happens in courthouses and courtrooms. And so you don't want to be one of those that get there. So amicably try to work things out. If it doesn't work out with you and you have to go through the divorce, then I think what's fair is to fairly sit down like the adults you're supposed to be and take care of it and make it work. Someone more greedy than the other one tried to not be so hungry or greedy, and you both can work it out without spending the extra money you will be, okay? And the embarrassment thereafter, loss of income, and feeling like, oh well, I got what I needed, and that is not always going to be the same way you think it is. Let's be real, when a marriage ends, people are fighting for justice, or people fighting for justice, I meant to say, or fighting because they are hurt, like I just mentioned. Most likely they're fighting because they're hurt. Before you say I do, understand what happens. One day you say I'm done. So when you get married, think about what happens one day that you say I'm done, okay, before you marry. Because love may be emotional, which it really is, but divorce is paperwork and numbers and consequences. So when and before you make the big decision, put on your mature hat, okay, and think about what happens if I say I'm done. Well, what will happen? These are the things you discuss before you get into marriage, and counseling or whatever you want to do before marriage. Really good churches do it. They'll have marital counseling, premarital counseling. This way you'll see if you're fit for each other or not. Maybe you shouldn't marry until you both all get mature out here enough to do so. And I'm not saying everyone, but the majority that's in court, if this was done on a mature level, there wouldn't be so much situations on child support, this and that, blah, 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 blah. And then sometimes you can unwillingly want to pay the person, but they're greedy. That's different. I've seen that too, in a personal, not mine, but others. And it's sad. A lot of men that actually chose to pay, but the women are greedy and they want more than that just to ruin them and have them sleep out in the streets. And that's real, folks. So be careful of who you choose, because they may not be who you're looking for. All right. So before you split the furniture, make sure you understand what you're really splitting. Okay. A divorce certificate ends a marriage. It does not erase financial responsibility. Love may not have a price tag, but divorce does. So be really careful, because the wedding lasts a day. The financial consequences can last years. Now that's real talk. So thank you for joining me here today, bringing you the truth and nothing but the truth on court affairs. With me, your host with the most, Judge Desire for Knowledge, is adjourned. I will see you all next week for Know Your Truth Real Talk. Have a great and happy Saturday and a weekend coming to you. Enjoy the weather while we can. And yeah, because I sure am. I'm on my way out and about. And I did put up my grilling for Father's Day and the future grill, holiday grill coming up. Go check that out on Grilling with Judge Desire for Knowledge. Come check out Know Your Truth Real Talk next week. And I'll see you back here for quarter fairs next month on the last Saturday of the month. And don't forget to check out I'm Out and About. And I'm Out and About travels as well. All right, people. Thank you for joining me today. My subscribers, love you guys. Thank you for your likes, shares, and subscribes. I really appreciate each and every one of you. IAAH Radio Plus. Thank you for having me on your channel, DJ 5am, with the best DJs and the best music in town. Go check them out on it'sallabouthouse.com. IAAH Radio.com. And that you will get all the genres of music, house music. Oh, no, house music is on that channel. And then the genres are on IAAH Radio Plus. You get different stuff. It's really hot. And it's 24 hours a day. So go check them out, okay? Tell them Judge Desire for Knowledge sent you. And I will see you all next week. Have a great weekend. Stay blessed. Stay highly favored. I know I am. Ciao.